Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 6 a.m. on Saturday in Germany. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight's topic, Space Colonies 1. We'll be back in about 8 seconds. So we had a change of plans. Our scheduled guest had to postpone. So Jeff is opening a discussion of what a space colony needs to survive. We encourage your comments and questions as well. So Jeff, what do you have for us tonight?
Okay, well, this is a needs test, and I like this image because it actually shows almost everything that you need in a space colony. Food. The only thing they don't really show is water, but it's got everything else in there. So I just like this image. Plus, I like images of space colonies.
The cutaway is a problem as far as I can tell.
Yes. Yes. We've done that, Jim.
Okay.
But
it's still good.
Yeah. I actually wanted to do a panel on space colonies, but we needed to come up with something fast, and I figured, let's do a needs test. What are the needs? Kind of like what you need to survive on Earth. There's an order of things that you need to get done in order to, like, if you land on an island or something, you need a certain set of things to survive. Oh, what?
Hi,
Hey, Cliff.
Thanks for joining us.
So I'm going to go here. Order of needs, or what will kill you first. I figured that's the order in which we should probably figure out what we need out there.
Okay.
And the first one is shelter. And
seems obvious.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. This is a Word doc. So if you guys have other ideas or stuff like that, put them in the comments. I can modify this and reflect. Cool. Yeah. Having people come on voice just isn't working out too well. At least we tried it once, and plus there wasn't enough time to really announce a panel. So I just figured, let's do it this way. It worked the first time I did it with people coming in, and instead of doing a PowerPoint, it's a Word doc. So, or LibreOffice, but same thing. But it's a Word doc, so I can edit it, maybe move things.
Okay.
So now some people would argue that you need air more than shelter, but you need something to keep the air in.
Right.
Also, in the whole, what will kill you first? If you're in the bottom of the Marianas Trench or on the surface of Venus, which will you die from first? Suffocation or being crushed or being crushed or boiled? So
sort of depends on where you are, it sounds like, really.
Right. I mean, on Earth, in most places on Earth that we can get to, air isn't even an issue.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But with shelter, even in space, if you think about it, what good is air if there's not something to keep it in?
Yeah. It would just...
Yeah. Poof.
Yeah.
So I figure shelter is first because you'll die, theoretically in moments. Although, if you're not in direct sunlight in space, you could actually last pretty long. You'd suffocate before you actually die of anything else, from what I've seen, or you'd overheat because space might be cold, but there's no convective current from it, so you don't cool down very fast.
Okay.
Actually, if you're active, you might overheat rather than freeze. Until you run out of air, and then you have other issues.
Got it.
So shelter, air, power. Now they say in a survival situation, you want fire because you can't trust the water. So you'll need to be able to boil the water. Water doesn't do you any good unless you boil it. So even on Earth, power comes first.
Okay.
And in space, power does a lot of things, like gives you air, gives you, keeps you warm, keeps you cold. Different place, different case. Yeah, I'm trying to generalize, Cliff, and I'm kind of, there might be some edge cases where these things flip, but in general, I want to get, and if someone makes a good argument for something should, something will kill you before something else will, go for it. I'm not an expert. I think about this a lot. So this is my unexpert opinion.
Well, and I know that you go to all the different forums, and there's lots of people that are experts, and you and they interact, and there's lots of learning just by doing that from people who really know this stuff. I mean, they really truly are very.
Yeah.
I mean, you could talk more to that. I've just kind of noticed.
Right. Yeah. I figure I'm somewhat high level layman on this.
Okay.
You go to
And we have another.
Hey, Dave.
From Dave. When discussing colonies, the ideas from the 1970s by Gerard Kerr and Neil are worth looking into again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I just had to throw something together. So I figured I'd start with, like, what do you need? And then you can go from there. What's the first?
So I guess the question to you, Dave, is, does this look like an appropriate list? And I'll flash it again here in kind of the right order. I think that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So here we go. And thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah. So since I didn't actually read them all off: shelter, air, power, water, food, and some form of governance.
Interesting.
And the main reason is, hey, I thought George was supposed to clean the air filters. It could be a bad day if you don't have some sort of structure.
So it could be as simple as a task list for all the people involved.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The governance being.
Governance could be
Tuesdays or taco days.
Or could be someone decides that this person is in charge of this thing, this person is in charge of that thing.
Yeah.
And then just divvy stuff up. But
great.
In a survival situation, you need to know who's doing what.
Oh, and Dave has come back with, on the moon, we have the resources to stay there and maintain a colony. On the moon's southern region, there are huge reservoirs of ice, drinking and washing water. Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about sending our robots, in advance and finding out these things. And so we have a better idea of what's there. And I think they've taken some photographs that would reveal, like, the chemical compositions of things there. Yeah. Of course, if this is below the surface, and I don't think it's very far below the surface, it would be hard to tell from just that kind of.
I think they've done some kind of radar or some kind of imaging there, where it's light scattering or something.
All right, and Dave comes back with the water. We can extract hydrogen, and oxygen for rocket fuel. Also, we could live
and we can
in
breathe
lava
that
tubes.
Oxygen.
Yeah, on the moon or on Mars, away from radiation danger and meteorite impacts. Yeah, I actually have been in a lava tube in the northern part of Arizona, and it's quite amazing what's possible with that kind of a structure and how well it could protect us from radiation.
Yeah. The one. Yeah, I've been in this probably same relative area that you were in, as just a little kid. And
it would look bigger then.
Yes, it was probably 3-meter diameter tops.
Yeah, I forget.
At least the one that I was in.
Got it. Okay.
But
and I see you have another column over there. So.
Yeah, and the other things are more kind of what you need for long-term survival. Oh, hey, Dave has.
Let's see. Can we show it now? Yeah. Mars, of course, is the problem of air, but the U.S. has ideas on landing devices on Mars to convert CO2. Yes. Actually, Bob Zubrin is sort of the vanguard person on that to sending these various stages and having them set things up. And when you get there, they're already ready already.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a smart way of doing it.
Yeah, it's very clever.
I mean, that way, if there's a problem, you don't send people.
Yeah.
Now, if you send people and there
Right.
becomes a problem, well,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that's a whole different thing with psychology. So, and so do you have that on there? Oh, okay. Dave has another comment. Let's look at that quick. I think our first colonies will be in orbit.
Yep.
Rotating space stations, the ideas of Werner von Braun rotated at 1 revolution per minute.
Yep.
I think it's somewhat dependent on the diameter too, isn't
right.
it?
Yeah. But
how much like G, and of course on Earth we consider 1G the normal.
Yeah, but I think that if you're out, basically, it's a 1 kilometer diameter or 1 kilometer radius. I forget which, but roughly that at 1 rotation per minute gives you roughly 1G. So it just works out. It works out somewhat conveniently for that.
Pretty cool.
So yeah, and that'd be good.
And I definitely think what Dave was saying here, Gerard K. O'Neill figured out a lot of this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely worth reading, and I'm sure these books are available still to get, and possibly online. Does anyone know out there from what that's?
Yeah.
What you could find?
Yeah.
In that realm.
Yeah, on a group that I was on, which was on Stack Exchange, we actually had a discussion about weather patterns in an O'Neill cylinder.
Oh yeah.
Because you've got the Coriolis effect of the air on, against the surface is moving faster than the air in the center.
Yep.
And so that'll cause a whole bunch of rotational stuff going on there.
And of course, on that surface, there are things like buildings and valleys and hills and stuff, and those would pull that along, that air, right? That's hanging around the outer edge.
It would pull it faster than if there weren't any, but it would still get pulled along just from friction.
Okay. Oh, okay. So if it were completely smooth, you'd still have some kind of effect.
Right. Yeah, it'd have to be absolutely frictionless or something to not have that.
Okay.
And especially the longer it goes. Hey,
Alejandro, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we really like this kind of conversation too.
Yeah. My goal is at some point to have the system so rock solid that we can do multiple voice conversation on this. It just, StreamYard didn't seem to like doing it.
The last time we tried. Yeah.
The last time we tried. And could have been weather related, or it could just be we're stressing the system.
And we'll just keep trying. And of course, the more we can plan, the better. This was a little bit rushed. So
yeah.
All right.
So yeah, Alejandro, if you have any more ideas on this,
because Jeff has what's going on here. He has this live document that we can add to, adjust things.
Yeah, I can. Here, let me grab my keyboard and I can show. I
don't think you actually listed off the side that says other necessities.
Oh yeah, these are long-term things. If you're going to have an actual colony, especially anything that tries to be self-sufficient, but I think anything that people want to live in for a while, hygiene. Oh, hey.
Why don't you read the list? Then I'll look at that one.
Hygiene, because even if you're trying to be clean, we've seen Skylab, even ISS is getting a little bit funky.
Yeah.
And that's trying to keep it clean. If they weren't trying to keep it clean, Lordy. So just, you need hygiene. Entertainment, in ISS, they're close enough that they can get entertainment relatively easily from Earth. But how else do you, on the moon, yeah, you can still beam stuff to them. From Mars, well, what are they going to do for entertainment? You don't always necessarily want people making their own entertainment.
Okay.
Could be good, could be bad.
All righty, okay.
Radiation shielding. This is situational, but in most places that we can think of, on the moon, in space, on Mars, radiation is an issue. Education. This is a much longer term. And if you're talking, having people there for a decade or so, you're going to have babies. Oh, medical. We need medical on here.
Yeah, and as soon as you're finished up, we've got 3 comments I want to share.
Yeah, and minimum population is if you want this to be a population center.
Yeah, and I think there's some understanding of what a minimum population needs to be, right?
Yeah. You want at
Some
least
50,000
10,000
people.
if you're really, really
Oh,
careful
okay.
with
All
keeping
right.
charts of who's
Oh, yeah,
related to who.
no.
But
Got it.
50,000 makes it easier.
All right, you ready for the
Sure.
comments? Here we go with Dave. He said, Jeff, do you think there will be generational physical changes after humans grow up on worlds with less gravity? I expect there would be.
Yeah. Not in the short term, but in the long term, when we're talking like 20 plus generations, sure, those who can handle it better will breed better.
Yeah, and I think, too, that we may actually even mess with our own genetic structure to accommodate for this different environment. All right.
Or just selective breeding.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you send people that, you discover, what are the traits of people who have better bones for that. And those are the people that you send. I don't know.
And Dave goes on to say, in your list, you might add emotional problems of relocation.
Yeah.
I guess that's not just relocation, but all kinds of things. If you're somewhat introverted, you might have an easier time of it because you can withstand less people in your immediate, you're okay with being more alone more often.
Right, except that you would then need a place to go to be alone.
Right, these could be very small.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for adding that. And we do have one more here. Mike Whitmer, thanks for joining us. Great topics. Any plans for simulations? Well, they already have some simulations going on in various places in the world, and these are they call them like a Mars analog.
Yeah, if
that kind of thing.
If anyone has the programming chops to make one, that'd be cool.
I see.
I'd be all for it. I'd be all for it. But
so,
well, no, I meant
PSYCH.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
Cliff has. I always make my own entertainment. Well, thanks, Cliff. And there's certainly ways to do that. All right. So Jeff has amended this list. Let's take a look. Hygiene, entertainment, radiation shielding, medical, psychological, education, and minimum population.
Yeah, I just had a psychological just by itself because I think Dave about emotional problems of relocation. I think that there's going to be a whole bunch of psychological issues, and that's just part of it.
Right, I think so too. Oh, excellent. Alejandro has.
Let's see what his is.
Oops, let me get us up on there. All right, Mars Ops is about radiation mediation, cultural psychology, built-in child development and parental structures, building development, spatial ergonomics. Yeah, there's a lot. So anything in particular you think should go on this list? Order of needs from Jeff. Let's put that back up here.
Yeah. This is mostly just to get a topic and generate as much conversation as we can about it.
Yeah, good.
If we want to, drill into one of them, great. Like minimum population. If we're near Earth, we don't really need it. But if we want to make a permanent colony somewhere, like the moon wouldn't necessarily need it because you can get back and forth easily. Mars,
gets harder. Yeah,
it gets harder because you have to get people to survive the trip.
Yeah.
Talk about radiation shielding.
Right, or adjusting our DNA, that kind of thing. Of course, that means that you and I won't go.
Yeah. Well,
if we decide that that's the way to do this.
And adjusting DNA is a much longer, farther out solution than figuring out some other way of doing it because we can't really do that yet. And I think as soon as someone tries doing that, the pitchforks and torches will come out.
Lots of ethical questions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is ethics going to be something on there that we should consider at some point? And maybe there's like a third column here that's, we look at a broader thing.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, thanks for asking, Cliff. I will be talking about that shortly. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of it.
Yeah.
Let's see. What sort of male-female ratio do you guys think would be a good start for, say, a Moon-Mars colony? Well, I don't think all men is a good plan.
No. I'm kind of partial to 1 to 10, but hey.
That's a different story. That's a different question.
I actually got that ratio from Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, gosh, I don't
It
remember.
just, they were talking about putting people in shelters and
Okay.
who they should, who they should put in the shelters. And of course, top of the list was themselves. But then
Oh, yeah.
the male. Um, yeah, I don't know. Fairly even is probably good. I mean, the thought that only men can do certain things has kind of been, put by the wayside. So,
Yeah, they build skyscrapers by hand, right?
mm, yeah. So,
No, because tools can always
yeah,
help you overcome your physical limitations.
right.
However, not too many men have babies. Oh, wait, maybe I'm wrong about that anymore.
But so yeah, I think any even or edged toward the women at the it depends on if you just need a stable colony or if you want it to grow.
Okay.
If you're sending out what they call I don't know, dandelions. If you're sending out dandelions,
Okay.
which is get your eggs out of one basket thing where you just send out colonies, you shotgun them out there,
Okay.
then you want them to be able to grow.
All right.
So then you might need a slightly higher women to men ratio, but not necessarily, because modern medicine means that women don't die after having one or two children,
Right. Yeah. All right. Alejandro says lots of cyborg augmented vets want to opt in first for Mars wave. Thoughts? From what I hear, they are ready to go.
So are a lot of us.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is that they'd be less, um, they'd be less impaired there than they are here.
Mm.
In fact, one of the things that people have determined is that being down a leg or two in 0G
Doesn't matter.
doesn't have a lot of effect. So
Yeah, legs are.
yeah, in fact, you use less resources. You
Mm.
eat less. You um, you use less water, etc. So in some ways, it's preferable, but don't go getting them chopped off just to go 0G. But yeah, I see that as a very good thing.
So Elon wants to add a million people to Mars by 2050. Interesting. And I'm going to follow on with this one because Elon is an African American, actually.
Yeah. How
How come America gets all these Musk Bezos dudes?
well, Australia, you start making the rules so that people can become billionaires. You can get these guys too. I mean, that's we've got some rules that are really dedicated to
Yeah.
having people with money get more money, and
Yeah,
then
true.
a few of them start doing this. So
All right. So have you added anything to this list?
no, not since. What's you? Oh, did it?
All right. So I want you to read through both sides again.
Okay, yeah. So
Order of needs,
or what will kill you first. We've got in order: shelter, air, power, water, food, and some form of governance. Basically, so that people know what they're doing. Other necessities for longer term is hygiene, entertainment, radiation shielding, medical, psychological, or medical/psychological. Keep them separate.
yeah.
Education. Again, if you're going to be there long enough to make babies, you'll need education. Minimum population. If you are cut off and rely on making babies, then you need a minimum population.
Yeah. All right. We do have another comment. Thank you, Alejandro. Decentralized space tech. You're gonna have to explain that to me. What do you mean by that?
I think he well, I'll guess Alejandro, but different people come together and make different aspects of it. I don't know. I mean, think about think about you getting in a rocket that was made as if you were making it from Legos. You know, if everyone brought their own pieces of the rocket together and started putting them on, would you get in that rocket?
Well, we've seen the problem with not coordinating things. That was Apollo 13 when they went to the moon. They had equipment in various places, but they couldn't really put them together. They had to jerry rig.
Yeah.
All right, so Dave comes back with, we have a space agency now. Whoopee. We can now launch ST's rockets. I think it's a little better than that, though, right, Dave? We really need you to come back sometime and talk to us about that.
Yeah. And then, of course, you know, it would really, really, I would really love it if STs were to get into the big rockets, because that way jokes like that would, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to launch an ST's rocket. Oh, look, it looks like a dragon.
So, yes, it would be hard to have a shower on Mars because you need water, but we know there's a lot of water on the moon, different base, different case. And you know, with asteroids, you can pull that in. I mean, you don't have to be constrained to what's on that particular celestial body.
Yeah.
Cliff also says, no, it's too wet.
I think he's talking about the Australian space aid.
Oh, I see.
Or the ST's rockets. I don't know which.
Okay.
But,
oh, and go ahead.
Oh, one of the things is that water, once you've got it, if you've got good recycling, you know, showers are less of an issue because you can just recycle that water.
Yeah.
You will lose some, but you won't, you know, you can recover a lot of it.
And they're doing a lot of that on the space station.
Yeah.
I mean,
so then it becomes a power issue rather than a water issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Alejandro clarifies, yes, it's used to scale up, part of autonomous development. Okay.
Yeah. And it'd be great if we had more than one, you know, one or two out there. You know, that'd be great.
Dave says, on a more serious note, I think any proposed largest off-Earth colony would need to look at
laws, regulations,
etc. A form of government's needed.
Yeah. And this is off topic for this, but it is about colonies, is that any government or company that sends a colony out there is going to want to control the colony. Any colony that's out there is going to want to control itself.
Mm. Yeah.
You know,
seen enough science fiction to
well,
see how that plays out.
And that's kind of, it's human nature.
Yeah.
And
then there's some things about like tribes. If a tribe gets to something like over 130 people, then, you know, they can't do a certain form of governance. They have to either split or upgrade into a different type of representation type thing.
And we have a lot of examples of how to handle that, like even on Earth, a Navy ship. You know, it's under the control of the government, but there's one person that government put in charge, and it's totally under the control of that person. Of course, they can yank that guy, but until they yank him, he's it. So that's one way of governance out there. But like I said, any people who are born out there aren't going to want to be controlled by someone that's not out there.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, we've seen that as well over and over again. Dave, to answer your question, stay tuned. We'll be talking about it shortly.
Yeah. And another thing that's not on here, and is kind of necessary.
On your list?
Yeah.
This thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really fit this list, but what do you need for a space colony is you need some way to bring value back from it. Like, who's going to fund a space colony? Well, okay, Elon Musk might, because he has FU money, but he just
bought Twitter for that.
Yeah, he just bought Twitter. But
which is good news, I think.
So that's kind of a philanthropic reason for creating a space colony. But most companies are going to want to see a return on their investment
of some sort. Yeah.
So you throw all of that structure out there. So space colony,
Are you adding
economy,
something?
yeah.
Oh, economy, yeah.
Um,
that's important.
yeah, it's kind of falls sort of under governance, but economy, there, value is going out, value has to come back. And then even within the colony, you have up to 100 people, it doesn't matter. You dish things out to people as they need them, but you get more than that. And kind of, unless you don't go total communism, some people are going to do something, some people are going to do others, and, they'll need to trade. I mean, even if someone makes doilies and someone else makes dolls, they're going to want to, they're going to want to trade. There is going to be an economy out there once you get past
Of some sort.
point.
I mean, people do it. They just do that.
Yeah.
And thanks, Cliff. This followed closely on the heels of is the award to come and see us. And we would love to see you. In fact, it would be really great if you came to the United States for the next total solar eclipse in 2024.
Yeah.
Just 2 years.
Yep.
It's a good time to start planning, people.
Yeah.
All right. So do you think there's like a third column of information on these? I see you have like this, really high priority things and then other necessities. Is there sort of a tertiary list of things that might be?
Are you thinking of something? Because I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of one.
I don't know. As we were talking, it just sort of felt like there were some things. I think Alejandro actually alluded to it too. Way up here.
Mars ops.
Yeah, this stuff here. The Mars ops, radiation, mediation, cultural psychology. I mean, child development. I mean, these all seem very, once you're very well established and very, not just getting going kind of thing.
Yeah, and some of them I have on my list under different names.
Okay.
But the spatial ergonomics, unless you're dealing with 0G, it's like Earth ergonomics. Dealing with 0G, you've got other issues, and we've pretty much explored those pretty well in ISS. Now, one of the things that you haven't, and if you're doing a spinning cylinder, again, you're dealing with gravity, so you don't need 3D. But if we ever develop anything that's truly 3D, what we haven't explored is what happens if the structure is complex enough that you've got multiple ways of getting to places, and you can go up, down, sideways, and you just start sticking things willy-nilly in various directions.
Oh, so like city planning kind of things.
Yeah, because even ISS is built in a single plane. Mostly, it's mostly built in a single plane.
And I think there was a combination of planned as well as.
Right. But what happens if you start going more 3D in your construction of it? If you've got 4 different ways of getting to some place, how do you mental map it? How do you make it so that it's easy to get from one place to another?
Yeah, good point.
They actually did talk about that in Lee Corey's book. I'm trying to think of the name.
While you're thinking about that, let's go with
a
comment. Dave says, I really don't think developing a future space colony would be as big a problem as we presuppose. Possibly. We thought that way about the bases on the Antarctic and living in arid desert regions. I'd love to know more about that.
Yeah.
Also, there is a case for colonies under the sea too.
Yeah.
I think people are interested in doing that.
Yeah, that's why I made this list as general as I did, because
it would work for that too.
It would work for that too. Yeah. Shelter. You need to keep the pressure out. Not instead of keeping stuff in, you need to keep stuff out.
Right. All right, Alejandro, farming best plants to grow, top 10. Would that fall under food? I think that might fall under food.
Yeah. And that is something that they're looking at. Like, there are some plants that you can eat the entire plant.
Oh yeah, cattails, certainly.
And there are smaller ones that only grow about this big, but you can eat you can eat the whole thing.
Yeah, the Weekly Space Hangout had a very good episode from a man who did seedlings and how they have them at different levels of gravitational pull, and they have some issues at certain levels. That anyway, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was a very, very fascinating show.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the man's name either. So
Yeah, I just remember I saw something, and it was a documentary years ago, like maybe 5 to 10 years ago, where they were growing different types of plants and picked one you could eat it all, plus it was all green, like there wasn't a brown stem, so it was all photosynthesizing.
Oh, okay.
So it produced both air and food.
Oh, I see. Got it.
And
so the purpose, yeah.
The roots were first line filtering out the water too.
Okay.
So kind of like they managed to get this thing that did multiple duties.
All right. So we have from Dave. What are your 3 main reasons for leaving Earth to set up digs? Because it's there.
Politics.
That's a different show.
Getting away.
Yeah, really. Oh, and let's do this one too, because I think we lost track. Do you know what he came in just a few minutes ago? I like Jeff's thinking.
Oh.
Tell us, Cliff, what you mean by that. Sorry.
Am I thinking about what?
Yeah, exactly.
Not too many people say that, by the way, Cliff.
That's a different show too.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 main reasons. Yeah, I mean, there's riches. That's certainly attractive. Yeah. Some things can happen out there. If you are like bedbound or, wheelchair bound, this could provide you with a little different freedom of motion and that kind of thing. Yeah. You don't care as much about, disabilities if you're in zero gravity and you're microgravity. What are your top 3?
Yeah. And I think,
and it's going to be different for everyone, I'm sure, if, someone is thinking in terms of heading out there. So,
there we go.
There we go. There is a guy who has applied for the first macaques on the moon. Guess what country he comes from? I don't even know what that word is. Dave, do you know what that word is?
No.
All right. Help us out. I don't know what you mean. Alejandro says, we need the H3, yes, to continue to run high-tech medical equipment on Earth, from what I heard. And apparently, some places in the solar system could run the whole Earth for hundreds of years. So
Uranus can run a whole lot more than that. It's apparently got a boatload of it.
Right.
But
Uranus and Neptune, I think, are both
but
rich in helium-3.
Well, they're rich in helium, which just means that on average, you've got more helium-3. You still have to filter it out, but yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, reasons for going. I was just thinking about, I'm
McDonald's. Wait, what? So, all right, I think it's related to this. There was a guy who has applied for the first McDonald's.
Big Mac. That I think
on the moon. Guess what country? All right, so. And you say McDonald's, but yeah, I'm not getting the reference, Dave. Help me out.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I don't know because there's a number of countries that do McDonald's, and
they're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like
used
a
to work
fungus.
for one.
But that's fine. It's all publicity stunts. I mean, Pan Am Airlines was selling tickets to the moon. In the 70s. So, and it's kind of like the people who sell plots of land on the moon right now. It's like, yeah, right.
Can you get it though? Can you claim your plot?
However,
that may be a thing because that's been a thing in the past.
However, that does bring up something though, is how do you get value back to the Earth? Advertising.
Okay. What, something you can see from the moon?
Well, or just if there's enough communication back and forth. I mean, you're probably going to be, you might even have like a internet channel or a cable channel dedicated to whatever that project is. And if you can get enough of your name, sent on there, then it might be worth money, even down here.
So Dave comes back with, he wants to put the first McDonald's on the moon. Guess what country this dude comes from? I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, we've
Is
got
it a franchise or a company?
Yeah, well, he wants to do a franchise, but
A franchise.
yeah,
And that could be anybody, anywhere in the world.
Here's my guess is that the U.S. has more McDonald's than anywhere else in the world.
Sad.
However, there are other
True.
places that actually see them as like desirable, whereas here I think we see them as an almost necessary convenience for some people. Which,
well, we say junk food for a reason.
Yeah. So.
But the thing about McDonald's, and I did work there, so I do know, I have a little bit of insight, and it's quite old. The uniformity of the producing, the double cheeseburger is the same double cheeseburger whether you're in Russia or the United States or in the middle of the ocean somewhere. It's very standardized. It's not the best hamburger in the world, but it's something that you understand. And if you're traveling, that can be a big deal to have something that you understand, and it's a known factor. You don't have to concern yourself with finding something that you can eat that is unknown. But there is a trick to it. If you go to another country, you look for where the locals eat. That's what we learned when we went to, actually in 1991, we went to Mexico for a total solar eclipse, like 7+ minutes long. And you get really spoiled when you have a long solar eclipse like that. Yeah. But yeah, that was one of the things when we were prepping to go, we would get together once a week and talk about the trip and, what things to expect, things to do. We had extra money for payola, that kind of thing. But what you want to watch is, where do the locals go? The locals know the places that are going to give you trouble.
And that works here too. I mean,
yes.
If you go to a Mexican restaurant in California and you don't see anyone Mexican eating there,
All right, Dave comes in with, enough of the levity. There is a connection with space mining and setting up a colony. The materials can be procured more easily and cheaply with a refining station on the moon.
Yeah, they can.
It's easy, it's quick, it's close.
Here's, and that's what I want to do. I mean, that's definitely what I want to do. But one of the hurdles I see is that any materials that you mine on the moon, you want to use in space, or any materials that you generate in space, you pretty much want to use in space. So the value of mining them isn't getting back to the Earth. I mean, yes, you could railgun some of the metals back to the Earth. Something has to catch them, or find a patch of desert somewhere and have Sierra Club really get on your case for.
I think you should set up some kind of capture system, a baseball mitt in orbit, actually.
Right, but
so then it can be brought down.
But even from orbit,
by other methods.
Yeah, I mean, how much fuel do you use landing it? I mean, literally, the cheapest way of getting something to Earth is to drop it.
Just lob it, let it fall.
Yeah.
Have enough of it so it doesn't all burn up.
Right.
Okay.
Or put fins on it and some rudimentary controls and glide it down.
Okay.
That could work.
Yeah.
However, an iron missile of gliding can become an iron missile of bombardment very easily. So I don't think that there's many places on Earth where they'd be happy to catch the mining of produce, unless it's high enough value that you want to land it, like helium-3 maybe. That might be worth spending the fuel to land on the Earth.
Okay, and Alejandro brings in ocean drops to the Atlantic.
Yep. Yeah, you'd still want to. Yeah, I guess if you put parachutes on it, it'd slow down enough. But because you still don't want to be lobbing, a few metric tons of stuff into the ocean. For one thing,
it's really not fast.
Yeah. The people on the shores nearby.
Ask the dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be that bad. You'd have to mine a lot. But
Dave,
also
hear?
you'd have to find it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's not going to float. If it's metal, it's not going to float.
No. All right. So the mining benefits the moon base first, taking the material there and refining it there, and using it to build in situ.
Yep.
Oh, and Daniel's here. Hi, Daniel.
Yeah.
Welcome. Glad you could join us. The most important short-term space resource may be giving people the overview effect so we can fix Spaceship Earth's closed cycle life support systems. I like that. Yeah. I like that very much. We actually listen to Frank White most Wednesday morning. He has an overview roundtable. It's a Zoom meeting at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. So yeah, we've been tuning in a lot lately. Yeah, and I think that's very important, actually.
And that brings up kind of what I've hinted at, is that there are reasons to have a colony, but that's separate from there's reasons to fund a colony or reasons for you to make a colony. You see, in order to get a company to make a colony, to put the resources into making a company, the company has to get something back from it. Now, it could be a very good idea, but there's a lot of things that are very good ideas that don't get done because people can't make enough money doing it. So all of the good reasons that make really good headlines are great. We need to figure out reasons that will get people to put their money into it.
So why don't you write that down and make it a whole show at some point? What are the reasons that people might go, return on investment things? Yeah, just a note. You don't have to add it to your list. But all right. So did you have anything more to say, Jeff, as well? I was thinking we'd go into our next segment.
Okay. Yeah. No, I've pretty much.
This was great. And thank you all for participating. We really appreciate that.
Oh.
And it's made the list better. Oh, okay. And Daniel comes back with the second thing is not to let the light of consciousness go out if Earth suffers a massive catastrophe. In other words, do not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. Which means...
I like that a lot.
Which means, Daniel, that in order for that to actually be real, any colony has to be self-sufficient. Because like ISS, if Earth gets wiped out, what happens with the guys up there?
They've got months, years, maybe.
Actually, they do have a vehicle. They can come back. But what are they coming back to? Yeah. A moon colony, unless it's self-sufficient, how long do they have? So yes, making colonies that are self-sufficient. That's why in some of my things I have minimum population and stuff like that, because eventually you'll want to do that.
Cool.
And that answers that question. But I think that's a ways down the line. Tastes
like? I don't know what you mean. Tastes like chicken? I don't think you're going to find any on the moon or Mars. Yeah. All right. So go ahead. Keep coming with the comments and we will look at them. I do want to keep moving though. So we've got a little bit more of the show. Some stellar events, for example. We're talking about April 29th through May 6th. And just so you know, the new Globe at Night project is still going. This is April 22nd to May the 1st. The Northern Hemisphere is looking for Leo. The Southern Hemisphere is looking for Crux. And you may recall from a past episode, we talked about the globe at night. You go outside, you get a picture, you compare it to the ones that they have on the site, and it helps them understand light pollution, like all over the world. April 30th is the new moon. In fact, it is a partial eclipse of the sun. It is, however, visible from southeastern Pacific Ocean, the Arctic Peninsula, and southern South America. We pulled up a chart of that and it's like, yeah, it's going to be mostly ocean. And Venus and Jupiter are in conjunction. May the 1st, Mercury and the moon are in conjunction. On May the 4th is the weekly space hangout, and they're having another news roundup this week. May 4th through 6th is the Eta Aquariid meteor shower peak. It's going to be after midnight. And, a lot of these have a date range. I did not show a date range for this one, but they do radiate from Aquarius. The peak rate is per hour is 10 to 60, a little bit better than the last one. And the source of meteorites is 1P/Halley, as in Halley's Comet. And I caught wind of something. There might be a bonus meteor shower in late May. Stay tuned for that. May 5th, Uranus and the Sun are in conjunction. May 6th is our Friday night show, and I'm going to come back and talk about spin-offs. Find us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel. We got another comment or two. Let's see. Cliff. Cliff. The Chinese are making plastic food now. It's okay, just flavor and vitamins, etc. It doesn't sound good for you. It doesn't sound like good eats either.
Might not be okay, because one of the things that they're finding is medical effects of having microplastic particles in your bloodstream. Yeah. So, so might not be a good idea.
Did dinosaur taste like? Okay. I wonder if chicken tastes like dinosaur, because you know that birds do come from a branch of the dinosaurs. Yeah. Cliff
Although it might not taste like chicken, because not all birds taste the same.
Oh, okay.
If you're looking at raptors, which are probably closest to the dinosaurs, I've never tasted one, but from what I've heard, they're not great tasting. But that's third, fourth hand knowledge.
They might be if you're starving. So one day they will make a replicator, press a button, and hey, presto, fried chicken. It still won't taste like mom's.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
That'd be great. We couldn't build it right now, so
So in with all this, in the next week, I've noticed that the first week in May includes May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. May the 5th, Astronaut Day. May the 6th, National Space Day. May the 7th, International Astronomy Day. And I call this Everyday Spacer Week. And I think it's a great time to launch the Everyday Spacer Awards. Here is about the awards. In 2021, 24 regular folks took a trip off world. They weren't the first people that did that, but it was the most in 1 year. And it seems like a really good time for the first annual Everyday Spacer Award. I'm nominating some of them. And of course, out of the 24, you are welcome to nominate some too. We're looking to award this prize during Space Week, which has now been moved to October. I don't know if you know this, but once upon a time, Space Week was in celebration of the week that the Apollo 11 landed on the moon. However, it did not include times for the kids to get involved, so they've moved it to October. And with so many regular folks taking rides on the rockets, I think it's time to get excited about going out there ourselves. And just like many regular folks now fly in planes, I think we can look forward to a trip off world. It's a really exciting time to be alive. So that is what the award is about. All right, we saw some more comments come in. Do you know where we are?
Daniel up here.
Not this one?
Yeah, not that one.
Ostrich burger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, it's a very dry meat.
Very lean. I think it's very lean.
Yeah. I grew up in Fullerton. Apparently, in Fullerton's early history, Fullerton's a city in California, small city, just north of Disneyland, if that'll help you guys figure out where it is. There was a ranch that raised ostriches for their eggs. So we do know a little bit about ostriches, not as much as the folks down in Australia do, but some fool was actually raising ostriches in California. And
I've seen all kinds of meat, buffalo meat. You can get buffalo, ostrich.
Yeah.
It depends on what's available in your area.
Yeah.
Ready for the next one?
Yep.
All right. So Dave says, on this day, May 1st, 1958, Van Allen radiation belts were discovered. Concentrations of electrically charged particles surrounding the Earth influenced by its magnetic field. Yeah, Daniel William Shatner was one of the people that went last year. That's your nomination, I take it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. The Van Allen radiation belts, it's basically not the reason why we're not irradiated all the time, but it's the side effect of why we're not irradiated all the time. Because all of that's up in the Van Allen belts would have been hitting us.
Yeah. Dave, are you referring to May the 1st, 1930? Pluto's name is confirmed by Lowell Observatory after a suggestion by British 11-year-old Vanessa Burney. Very cool. I did not know that. I'm gonna have to add that to my list.
And has no relation to the Disney character, because this predates Disney.
Okay. All right. So the early morning planets. Yeah, Dave. This has been incredible. I mean, I was out, moon, being, 4 planets in a row, and then I was like, and the sun's, and they were very equidistant. I actually got some pictures of that. Oh, here we go. Vanguard. Oh, Vanguard discovered the Van Allen belts. Okay. As far as okay. Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this. With all of us, we have a much broader, deeper knowledge base. So really, really appreciate that. You want to take it away?
Okay. Some ongoing events and activities. Space Prize. Space at spaceprize.org.
There
you go. We're not going to put it in comments because there it is. Type it out at spaceprize.org. Launching in June 2022. I almost said 2020, which would have been a while ago. But Space Prize Global is a worldwide contest to promote the advancement of women in STEAM, specifically in aerospace. Open to 15 to 18-year-old women worldwide, the contest features a combination of written, video, and creative submissions. 2 grand prize winners will each receive about $250,000 value of private astronaut experiences, and probably in the zero-G.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is involved. We don't know very much yet. It's kind of new.
Also, fly your name around the moon. It's still going. Add your name to the Artemis 1 test flight of the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft. And so it'll fly around the moon, assuming they ever launch the darn thing.
All right, and I am going to pluck that one out and add it to...
Yep, and there's more comments too.
Oh, good, okay.
So let me...
yeah, you go ahead and do that, and I'll add this to...
Sorry, the so-called internet is not doing good right now. Sorry about that. Yeah,
we wanted you to be with us.
Yep.
Daniel says it was Explorer 1, not Vanguard.
Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's what confirmed it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's possible that they learned something that didn't expect to see, or maybe that went out there to confirm it. I don't know. There we go. Dave says Van Allen proposed their existence. Vanguard went out to find them.
Got it. See, brain trust. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. So the link should be clickable for adding your name. And I did forget one. Globe at Night. globeatnight.org/6-steps.php. You know it's live when. All right, and so I'm going to take it out. If you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, astronomy, like that, we'd love to share our live. Join us again next Friday, May the 6th. I'm going to be talking about spin-offs. When Dale Ann Springer was here last week, she reminded me that our lives are very much enhanced by what the space industry has returned to us. Tune in next week to learn more about spin-offs and technology transfer. They're very interrelated. I didn't realize that. So, yeah. Did we have another comment?
Yeah.
I thought I saw something.
Oh, David, basically clarifying, Explorer was the satellite the Vanguard rocket launched.
Ah, very good.
So, Vanguard was the rocket, Explorer was the payload.
Awesome. Yeah, I think they actually have a model of that at JPL, which is local to us here.
No, they have.
Oh, is that hardware? That's real hardware?
That's hardware. That's the spare one that they were going to launch if the first one didn't go. That is real hardware.
Very cool.
And
it
looks, it's only like, the rocket's only about this big around.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's small.
It's small.
It's kind of a sounding rocket. It's a little bit smaller than a sounding rocket, I think, even.
Yeah. Yeah, the ball of Explorer 1 was basically smaller than a soccer ball.
Yeah, possibly Sputnik was about the same size, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, we will continue to look for your comments and try to answer your questions, whatever. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for being here. Should we say names? Oh, you got something else? Go for it.
If anyone has anything to add to the list that I have, just put it in the comments. We'll see them and I'll add them to the list. I've been thinking about making some documents available through like Dropbox or one of those, or Google Docs or something like that. You know, lists like this that people can edit.
We got websites. We can put them on there.
Yeah, but they're not harder to make them editable on those.
Oh, I see.
Through
Got it.
Google Docs, I can.
Oh, yeah. Everybody can
put a link to one, and then
you can make updates too. All right. So thank you, Cliff and David and Alejandro and Mike. And I know Daniel was in here. And who else? Do we have anybody else? I think we got everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We really, really appreciate you coming and contributing and connecting with us. I think I got them all right.
Yes.
All right. Oh, I see a new one. Daniel, Pioneer Probe also documented the belts.
Yeah. Well, they knew it was there. They just were measuring it as they went
Been
through.
wondering, what are those bright spots in the sky in the morning, Cliff? Planets.
Oh, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
All righty. Awesome. Have a great week, folks. We will see you on next Friday, our time.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.